Okay, welcome back to part 2. This is Zai from Zai by Design and CG Boss. Like I said, this is part 2 of our guitar strap posing. This is for kind of down and dirty, quick posing of just the strap, instructions for just the strap. The other videos basically went over the entire package and the poses and everything else, but this is for just posing the strap alone if you're posing the strap from scratch. Okay, so we've got our guy here. And we'll go over to the guitars. Now in the guitars, like I said, there's 3 of them. They come either as a straight load or a load with a strap. When you load the strap, if you want one with a strap and you want to pose it from scratch and you're not using one of our preloads, which we have, you can see here we have a load for each one with the strap posed to them in the basic T or A pose for G3 or G8. You can also load one from scratch with a strap already attached. You don't have to attach it, and once you load it, you should be able to hit the reset all rotations on the strap, and then the strap is not posed like this. This is just for convenience, and then the strap goes flying straight out and you're ready to position it and start working on the strap itself. So let me move over here and get this guy. I guess this guy's off center from where we moved him. We'll put him back here. Okay, so say you've got this guitar and you want to put it on him and he's in a really weird pose and he's done, well, maybe not that pose, but maybe he's done something strange and he's kind of weird. But so you might want to take your guitar, and again you want to start on the bone. If we go to the content and the scene, there we go. You don't want to move it from the bone, you want to move it from here. The bone should always stay 0 if you can, because the chord won't match up. One way to combat that is to come in here and before you start moving it around, go ahead and choose your guitar, choose your chord, and load it. And then you don't have to worry about that. But if you don't do that, try and move it only on the object. So let's say we've got that set up. The other thing we want to do is come in here and reset this strap since it's already attached. Just click the strap. Let me move up here. Let's see. Okay. And I lost my cord too, so I'm going to go ahead. I'll leave it off. You saw how to load it. Okay, so say you have your strap, and what you want to do, that's the reset all rotations for the cord. Let's see, which we're not using right now, but you want the reset all rotations for the strap. Say you want to do your own pose. You could start from one of the preloads, or you could start from a straight strap. So if you hit the reset all rotations, it's going to throw that strap straight out, and you'll see it stays attached to the guitar. And then you can twist it from here. This one always stays the same. You always want to keep this one in place. And all you want to do with this one is rotate it around to where you think it's going to work. So let's see. Let's do that. And let's get him in position and say we're going to start posing this. And I'm going to pull this up. And get prepared to look really close at the body while you're posing a strap from scratch. We've given you a lot of stuff to where you don't have to do that, like all the poses plus the preloads, but you're not going to always use what we like. So say you've got this in here and say that he is, for whatever reason, I'll just pose him on a regular body. You want to bring this close enough that you're away from his body in case you put some clothes on him. And then you're going to come over here and rotate it into place. And maybe it goes this way because they're usually right-handed. And then come back and just move this guy into place. And let's go up a little bit. And here we go. Okay, you can see it's a little close and it's starting to go into his body. And say you know that that's going to be the way it's going to be. Say you have to bend this back a little bit. Get all this in position first, and then also position your hands. So once you've got that going, then you know where the strap's going to be. The strap has 22 bones. It lives inside of the flyer itself, inside the bone on strap back, and that's these little tiny pins here on the back. Those are your friends, and you'll see that in a minute because it lets you zoom in and position that. So strap 1 is like the main bone of the strap. So once you get it in there, you're going to want to choose strap 1, and that's that little strap right on the back, and it's hard to see, but you want to position that first. And you want to use that. You can twist it side to side, but you want to kind of rotate it around and get it in the zone of where you want it to go. So that's what I'm moving now. So I put that in there, and I can grab this and just tilt it to the direction that I generally want it to go. And let's see. That's why we say get the guitar in position first and then position the strap. So if that's there, I know it needs to come away from his body, but I've got it in the general zone. Now I can bend the strap 1, it can stay in place, and I move to strap 2. From here, you can move this in groups. So I've bent it away from his body a little bit, and sometimes you can't really see. You could turn the guitar off at this point if you don't want to see it, and it gets in your way, but you'll need it later to position the hand. So you want to pull it away from the chest, and then once you get to there, you can move up several. Yep, now we've moved on to 6. And you can start bending it backwards, and it will kind of move together. It's meant to move together. And then you kind of start going, and as you move these outer ones, this will bend up kind of like a natural strap. So you may want to move all the way up to here and continue. See how that moves farther out. And you may have to back up 1 or maybe 2 and then start bending it down. And once you get over the shoulder, that's the kind of most difficult part. And then you want to move out to these farther ones and then bend it, because it's going to bend up. And you got to kind of work this, and it takes a couple of minutes. Whoops. Spin that farther down, and I can go through his shoulder because I know this one is going to affect these. So let's keep going, and it brings it up, and then you got to get to this really sharp bend. And then once you've got it here and you think you're kind of in position, you can start doing the side to side, and it depends on which bone you're coming from. So if you've got this one, you might want to do side to side from this and kind of get it to start wrapping. Now, that's below his shoulder, but that's because we need to adjust this still. One of the things you can do to bring that up over his shoulder, once you've got this big bend, and you're bringing it all the way down, we're hitting the rotation limits. So, what you want to do is don't be afraid to come in and look at that and say, okay, I'm going to turn off that limit. And then go ahead in, and that one's not actually hit the limit yet, but go ahead in and say, okay, if that's gone too far, you can go ahead and open the parameters and turn that limit off. The other thing you can do to get over the shoulder is adjust the strap length. To get to the strap length, each one of these segments can be adjusted in width, thickness. You don't use thickness too much, but the width helps you get in tight on the shoulder if it's too close to the neck. But usually it's a length, and you can kind of bring that out if you want, and you can use whichever one you'd like to get shorter or closer as you're trying to work your way over that shoulder. And if you keep going with that, it's about right, but we got to get this last bend to be all the way down. Okay, so now we've got that bend kind of going, and we need to position this where we want it. So once you come back here, you can basically start doing a little bit of side to side, maybe less of a bend, and then maybe a little bit of a twist. And because it's not quite there yet, we're going to click on this one. You have to click the actual piece and then go ahead and see, is that strap length going to work? Okay, not that one. Some of them don't have strap length because they're fixed. Okay, I'd like to have that be a little longer. And it's kind of forgiving, so you can actually extend it. If you've hit the length here, go ahead and break the limit. If you don't go too far, it's fine. Just go ahead and open the cog, uncheck the limits, and then put it to where you need it to be. All right. There we go. Now, once you get over this shoulder, you're doing pretty good. And it's pretty close to being that way. So say you want to bend that a little more or a little less and bring it down. Okay, that's pretty tight. But try to leave room for your clothing. And you might have a shirt that you might want to be turning on and off at this point to make sure that you're not clipping or, creating poke through for yourself. And let's see, that might be a little bit too much. So, and you want to come back and check that it's opening up a little bit, because each time you move that, it's going to create a little bit of give right there. So let's say that's pretty good, and you got most of it, and you're not clipping his back or your shirt. Now you get to do the big movements. The shoulder is the hardest part. Now you've come down to this point where you've got this piece, and you're going to want to grab this one, and I think I need to turn these straps around actually. Once you get to here, you can come down and grab, you want to probably right click and expand all so you can see it all. And you get to here, and a good grouping is 15 through 18. And there are some parameter dials over here, and I'll show them to you. Let me see if I can find the posing dials. There are a few posing dials over there that you could use, but most of this you can do with the regular stuff. So say we take 15 through 18, that's all three of these on the length adjuster, and we want to start bending that around to come up and meet this. So if you select these, and make sure you select them here too, or you'll only move the first one, and then use your bend, and it's going to do a big movement and bring it up around to that where you want it to be. And you can look at that and say, okay, that's pretty good. If I want to, I can twist it a little bit, you know, depending on what your pose requires. And now we've gone a little bit too far past that. We don't need that much length. So now you can come back and do the strap length. So just pull it back and you can see where it's going. Okay, fine. Side to side a little bit, get it closer to where you want it to go. And I'm not going to do a perfect fit here. Or maybe you need it to be a little shorter. Okay. And it may not need to be like that, and it's actually too much of a bend. So just bend it back down a little bit. And then you can start working with less to get to the corner. And let's see, let's do a little bit of side to side there. And maybe it's too far bent. We'll go back and start here and grab 18 and adjust that strap length a little bit. And what you're going to want to do is kind of turn up this way to see where you're going, and maybe that whole thing needs to go side to side quite a bit. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. And is it too far? A little bit. We'll give it some length. And here you might want to start bending less. So you could just click one, and maybe you only do 18 and 19 and do those side to side to get it into position, or bend it outwards if you want. And once you get to this point and you've posed that, and you could go back and refine this and do whatever you need to do, this is where these little strap pins come in, and they're your friends. So let go of your strap, click the strap pin, and use your focus. And once you do that, it's going to go way in. But you can back out and then turn this upside down so you can actually see. And you can rotate around that pin. So let's say we want to move this, and sometimes it's a little dark. Let's see if we can, no, sometimes that'll light it up for you. Okay, so let's say that we want to twist that into position. We just click it and twist it to where we want, and then bend this one in a little bit. Click that and give it a little bit of a bend to come in, and we can see where the pin is pulling through. So now all we got to do is basically adjust the length. And my favorite thing to do is come back to just the last one and say side to side, maybe, and you can't get length unless you click on the actual one, maybe a little bit of length, and maybe a little bit of side to side. And then I want to do the twist right here, a little bit of a twist. Okay, and because I'm rotating around that piece, I can see, and I can now adjust it to say, okay, if it were pulling on it, yeah, it might tilt this way and the tip of the strap might sit that way. If I don't like it, I can easily just twist it into place, and it's connected. That's it. And then you can back out and see what you've done, and kind of look around and see if, and this is not a totally natural bend, but see if I got a natural bend and it fits over his pants, and maybe you twist it, and maybe he's bent forward. But it gives you a lot of options to work your way through it. Takes a few minutes, but that makes it really, really flexible. And then you can, of course, apply your graphics and all that good stuff, and go from there. That's the basic guitar usage and the strap usage. So that will do it for the strap. Thank you so much for your time and your attention, and we'll see you next time.